the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
Unfairness to, well, no, not a whole lot of other teams can hand out $700 million in guaranteed money, even if you defer some of it into the next ice age. But it's still, the opportunity was still there, and it's just strange to see that there was no real kind of furor about it. I feel the same way when I felt the same way when Harper and Machado were free agents, and it took, granted, that was somewhat of a different structure, and it took much longer for them to sign, but again, it's like all you got to do to get this guy is give up $300 million. For baseball teams, that isn't, for pretty much every team, that is not a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, still I think the best move. And in terms of worst, I don't know if I have a worse move so far. I think I have a few moves that confuse me. Heimer Candelario to the Reds. I think he's a good bat. I don't really get what the setup is there. They have like 9 infielders now. I don't really fully understand that one. I thought, I guess before Sonny Gray, I was kind of confused that the Cardinals only seemed to be interested in the Kyles Gibson and Lance's Lynn of the world. But
it kind of reminded me of the approach the Mets just had, where the Mets went super. I mean, obviously they went scorched earth with a super old rotation.
Yeah,
but like that kind of, hey, we're gonna bet on the vets and we're gonna ride the vet starting pitching arms, and it's like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Is that?
Yeah,
are we sure that's gonna work?
I mean, if I'm St. Louis, I think for as much as I do like what they got in Gray, I wonder if you're better off aiming for the higher end of the market with Snell.
Yeah,
if you're gonna spend, at least make it worth your while. You know what I mean? But I don't really think there's been anything in the way of bad signings so far. I think if anything, what I feel like is there are teams, like you said, Baltimore, whose only real notable signing has been Craig Kimbrell, or the Blue Jays, who have not really done anything of note yet.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few teams I think we're still waiting to see, well, what are you going to do with your offseason? Because we're already about to hit we're about to hit Christmas, the New Year's right behind it. Spring training's here before you know it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think similarly, while I think there are things to like about, say, like, again, Heimer Candelario, Nick Martinez, and Emilio Pagan. I don't know that that's the best. Those are the best expenditures for the Reds. A swingman, a homer-prone middle reliever, and an infielder when you already have 7 of them who all need playing time, and you don't have the outfielder DH space necessarily to accommodate them all. I think it's been a little bit of a weird offseason there that seems to be more focused on value than on just addressing the biggest issues, again, which is to say, like, we need more pitching and better than Nick Martinez. That's a team where I'm kind of confused. Like, why aren't you in on Seth Lugo? Why aren't you in on Eduardo Rodriguez? Why aren't you in again on Sonny Gray? Why aren't you trying to bring Sonny Gray back? That feels like a more appropriate, or a Marcus Stroman, someone like that, to kind of to bring some level of higher floor to a pitching staff that really needs it. Or similarly, why aren't you guys loudly going after Josh Hader? Or maybe not Josh Hader, because Raisel Iglesias is very good too. But, something along those lines, something more in the star level as opposed to the kind of around the edges stuff where it's like Cincinnati is one of those teams, I think, close enough to that precipice of we can be a real contender, that I think adding those kinds of guys a step above, like Candelario and Martinez and Pagan, that I'm a little confused as to their direction so far this offseason.
I would agree with that. I also don't know who I like before we get into our preseason one next year. I'm not going to say the word fascinated by the NL Central, because that seems a little.
No, the NL Central is fascinating in the same way like a car crash is fascinating.
Right. We're like, the Pirates got off to a great start last year, John.
Mm-hmm.
They might be better. There's some pieces. We'll see where they're at, but like
the Pirates are so low on actual stars is a good part of the problem. But anyway,
they're like, the Cards could be good, the Reds could be good, the Cubs should be good, and the Brewers, like, we've made a lot of jokes, they're going the wrong way, but I don't know if that's going to be a major drop next year. We're not going to see this drastic fall off from Milwaukee. So I'm just very curious how the NL Central shakes out, because I think it's kind of really up in the air between 4 teams, and then we'll see if how much of a jump the Pirates could make next year. But like, I don't know. Not to say that it's appetizing that I'm dying for my NL Central fix in mid-June of 2024, John. But I will say, I really don't have a good feel for who I think is going to end up winning this division going into next year.
No, it's pretty much first. The NL Central is going to have first team to 85 wins rule. Like, whoever gets there first, however long it takes, that's who wins the Central. And that's why I think, again, when I look at Cincinnati, I feel like there is a real opportunity there because the Cardinals have added some pitching, but I think and I think I've raised their floor a bit. But that was a really bad team last year, and while it should be a better one this year, it's not like they've established themselves as a 95 win juggernaut over the course of the offseason. Like you said, Milwaukee has mostly been doing Milwaukee stuff where they just try to make themselves cheaper while not significantly lowering their performance floor. The Cubs, another team where I think we're just kind of waiting to see. I don't know how much of that is, if they're engaged with Bellinger and they're trying to bring him back, but kind of waiting to see Cubs wise, what is their plan? They're not, doesn't seem like they're in on Yamamoto. That doesn't seem like they were ever in on Ohtani. Maybe they're looking at a guy like Blake Snell, who knows, but another team, Central team that's had a very quiet offseason. I mean, Pittsburgh, I don't think I was ever really gonna, I think a world where the Pittsburgh wins the NL Central is one where all the other NL Central teams have just completely collapsed in the process, which is to say nothing necessarily bad about Pittsburgh, but more that the other teams are just better all the way around. So again, I do find it a little strange that, Cincinnati and the Cubs in particular are not taking advantage, and especially the Cubs, given what they paid to get Craig Counsell now to be their manager, are not doing a little more to put themselves ahead of the pack instead of just kind of sitting back and going, again, whoever gets to 85 first, that's who wins the division.
Isn't it kind of weird? There was so much just positivity and intrigue with the Cubbies, with the Craig Counsell thievery from Milwaukee, but it's really just been business as usual. What we saw from how this Jed Hoyer operation is really run post Epstein. I haven't seen a huge shift, and you're kind of running out of time here to really make sure that you go into 2024 the clear cut leaders of the NL Central. And I don't know. I'm kind of surprised at how this has unfolded for the Cubbies in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't know how much of this is, maybe they're just working with Bellinger and they've just identified that as their big move, but I do find it interesting that neither Ohtani nor Yamamoto seem to have been Yamamoto doesn't seem to have been a target. I know they were involved in Ohtani, but that doesn't seem to have been a serious discussion there. So
I mean, even Blake Snell makes sense. There's some guys where I'm just surprised. Just go after Juan Soto trade. Maybe not you do it, but I don't know. I'm just surprised they're not popping up in more hot stove action for the Cubbies. But we shall see. Jon Tayler. New segment, stick poke. Okay. Poking of the stick.
We're gonna poke someone with a stick. Oh, like the meme where it's like the cartoon, but come on, do something. Okay.
Yes.
God, I sounded old just now. Let's keep going.
A metaphorical. It's as the
meme.
The meme. Jon Tayler, the stick poke meme. What could the Rockies do this winter? And if you're the GM, and look, I don't want to put you in that spot where you're the general manager of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, why would you wish such an awful thing upon me?
Look, it's a thought exercise. It's, like I said, a safe space. I'm not actually putting you in charge of the Colorado Rockies. I would never, ever put that on your plate.
I appreciate your kindness.
But in this conversation, if you were, because they really haven't done anything, they're clearly the worst team in the NL West. What else is new? But, what would you do? What could the Rockies have done to make this a less depressing offseason? And also a realistic one.
I like how we're speaking as if the offseason's already over for the Rockies because we all kind of know.
I was going to say, we know the offseason.
They're not actually going to do anything.
What are they going to do? Sign Josh Hader? No.
Well, I hadn't realized they re-signed Charlie Blackmon at some point this winter.
Did they really?
Yeah, when I was looking at our free agent tracker on Fangraphs, I saw Charlie Blackmon 1 year, $13 million with the Rockies, and I was kind of like, when, how, why? I went through all the various the journalistic 5 questions. Okay, so first.
Go. Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.